Is the United States on the verge of abandoning its most strategic ally in the Pacific? Or is this just the price of preparing for a much larger, darker conflict? We are seeing a major shift in how the U.S. handles its weapons supply chain, and it's sending a signal to Beijing that has everyone in Washington on edge. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. The news broke during a Senate Appropriations Defense Subcommittee hearing this Tuesday, where Acting Navy Secretary Hung Chow dropped a bombshell. He confirmed that the U.S. has hit the pause button on weapons sales to Taiwan. The reasoning? The Pentagon needs to ensure it has enough munitions in its own stockpile in case of an escalation in the ongoing war involving Iran. Chow was blunt about the status of the $14 billion weapons package that Congress had already pre-approved back in January. He stated clearly that he hadn't even spoken to the Taiwanese government about it, noting that the pause is purely about ensuring the U.S. military is ready for what he called epic fury. When pressed by Senator Mitch McConnell on whether these sales would ever resume, Chow didn't offer any reassurances, instead deferring to the Secretary of War and the Secretary of State. Senator McConnell, visibly frustrated, called the entire situation really distressing. And he isn't alone. Senator John Kennedy also hammered the issue during the hearing, pressing Navy officials on why the U.S. would delay arming Taiwan when those very weapons are seen as the ultimate deterrent against Chinese aggression. This development comes right on the heels of President Trump's recent high-stakes state visit to China. During that trip, President Xi Jinping made it crystal clear that the Taiwan question is the ultimate red line in U.S.-China relations. She warned that if the U.S. handles this improperly, the entire relationship could be in jeopardy, leading to potential clashes and conflicts. So what does this actually mean? For months, hawks in Washington have been urging the White House to formalize this $14 billion package. Yet, President Trump has remained notoriously ambivalent. During an interview with Fox News' Bret Baier, while still in China, Trump suggested that both sides need to cool down. He openly questioned the necessity of the deal, even telling the reporter, "I may do it. I may not do it." He seems to be weighing the risk of provoking China against the historical obligation to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself. The White House is defending this move by highlighting that, historically, the current administration has approved more arms sales to Taiwan in its first year than the entire four-year term of the previous administration. They insist that the delay isn't a cancellation, but a strategic pause to manage a dangerous global environment where resources are thin and the threat of a wider conflict in the Middle East is looming large. But is this a wise strategic maneuver, or is it a sign of weakness that Xi Jinping will inevitably exploit? If the U.S. cannot supply Taiwan while also maintaining readiness in the Middle East, what does that say about our defense industrial base? We are essentially being told that we have to pick our battles. If war with China were to erupt tomorrow, some experts warn that the U.S. could burn through its key missile inventory in as little as a week. That reality puts the White House in an incredibly difficult position. On one side, you have the need to keep our own armories full. On the other, you have the strategic necessity of keeping Taiwan strong enough to deter an invasion. By pausing these sales, the U.S. is essentially betting that the short-term need to manage the Iran situation outweighs the long-term need to project power in the Taiwan Strait. If that bet is wrong, the consequences for the Indo-Pacific and for the global economy could be catastrophic. So, here is the question for you. Do you believe the United States should prioritize its own current military stock for the Middle East, even if it means leaving Taiwan vulnerable in the face of Chinese pressure? Or is this a dangerous betrayal of our most critical partner in the region? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. This situation is fluid, and the political fallout is only just beginning. As we watch the administration navigate these impossible choices, one thing is certain: the era of easy foreign policy is over. Stick with us as we continue to track this developing story and the massive implications for America's future.